Hello, welcome back. So today we have another episode on the E36. This episode is going to be sort of kind of the garage slash jack stand edition. So yeah, yes. Alright, so obviously we have the E36 here on jack stands. Good old AutoZone. And then we also have, where is it? We also have a Harbor Freight jack that was pretty cheap. So what we're doing today is we're going to do some power steering fixing. So this is what it is. E36 and power steering kit and installation instructions with it. So pretty much what you get is a new power steering cooler, and then you also get one AN line, and then you also have another AN line that comes with it. Plus you get a Moroso power steering tank that mounts to pretty much anywhere you want. And then we also have fitting, banjo bolt, another fitting, and some pressure washers.
Alright, so to install this kit, the first thing you obviously have to do is remove the intake. If you have the stock one, then it's obviously a little bit different, but if you have aftermarket like me, I have the AFE intake and I have the I believe it's a Mishimoto or something else, whatever it is, elbow. So I'm going to remove this with the intake, and then I'll show you guys what needs to be removed afterwards. Yes.
So the intake is removed, but now we have an issue. This is a PCV line that goes to the M50 Manifold Conversion, and it looks like it's not even really hooked up. It was just dangling there. So I think I'm gonna address that as well in this video and see if I can fix the PCV system with doing the power steering, obviously. Alright, so to remove this power steering reservoir, since we're gonna use a different one, there's a 13 mil somewhere right there and a 13 mil somewhere right there. So those two have to come off. And then obviously the lines that go to the rack. So on the bottom you have this, and then you have this whole piece, which is the cooler. So there's a 10 mil here and a 10 mil here that I have to take off, and then from then on it's just the line going to the rack on one side, and then the other line going to the other, this one. So there's a banjo bolt on both of them, which you have to take off and then drain the fluid obviously as well. So I'm gonna take this piece off first and then take off the two banjo bolts. I don't know if I can show you guys because it's pretty tight in there, so I'm gonna see if I can somewhat show what it looks like in there. Alright, so I had to read the instructions because one of the lines didn't really make sense, which would be the line that goes from the reservoir straight to the pump. There's a fitting on there, so I think you have to remove the fitting and fit the new banjo thingy with a banjo bolt. So that goes like so, and onto the pump. And then you have the what they call the trombone, which is this piece, and that has a fitting on it as well. And then you have two lines. One line goes from the reservoir to this banjo fitting, like so. And then you have this line that goes from the trombone to the reservoir, which is right here. And the way they have it mounted here would be like so. I don't know if that makes any sense in this, because that kind of looks stupid. So I just have to find a place to mount this and then go from there. Well, this is a pretty awkward moment. So from what these instructions are telling me, I'm supposed to have my pump's supposed to have a threaded hole for this guy, which I don't have. And that is because I have a 328. And apparently 328s and 323s have a different pump. So, yeah. So I can't even install this line because this guy. Let me get it in there. So this is the fitting that's on my pump, which you can obviously see. There's no thread, that's just O-ring instead of a thread. And apparently M3s and 325 IS or whatever, they all have a threaded pump, and it's a, I believe it's a ZF pump instead of a Luke pump. So what I'm gonna have to do is take off my pump and see if I can fit an M3 pump, since I have an S52 at the shop. And then once I get that and compare the two of them, I think I have to trim the M3 pump to make it fit. I'm not too sure. I will have all the details once I do that, which would be probably tomorrow. So let me figure that out, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And there's tomorrow right here, right now. So, same day, power steering pump is removed. I'm gonna see and compare it to an S52 power steering pump. Then we have the reservoir. It's all covered in shit. Same thing with the trombone and whatever it is. And then if you look underneath the car, you can see the whole thing is covered in oil. So I think this video is going to be longer than usual because I'm going to go ahead and take care of the oil filter housing leak, because that's what it seems like it's leaking from. And all of this is caused by that. Which also gives me a chance to take the oil filter housing off of S52 I have and put it on with the new power steering pump and complete this power steering job and fix my oil leak, and also fix the vacuum leak that's on the M50 manifold, which all has to come off to do this. So I'm going to get all the parts ready, and then we'll see you the next day. Okay, so it is the next day. We have an S52 or an M50 power steering pump. Obviously, it is way different than this thing. This is how it would go. The bracket is different from this one, and then also the banjo here and here, and this one has it here and here. So they're both in a different position, and it is leaking. Nice. Which is why I also grabbed this line so I can swap it over to my car and not have issues with fitment. And then I bought this an S52 and M50 oil filter housing, and all I have to do is just swap over like the oil pressure sensor and stuff like that. Everything else is pretty much the same. And then it does come with the gasket, which is what's leaking on mine. Alright, so the M50 Manifold Conversion Kit comes with 2 hoses and also a vacuum line. It's stuck in here. And then a bunch of the little brackets, fittings, new intake manifold, gaskets, and a throttle body gasket. And the only thing I'm missing is the plate between the throttle body and the manifold, which I don't really need because the swap that they did on here already has a gasket that's made for the M50 manifold conversion. So what we're going to do today is remove the manifold, remove the oil filter housing, install the M50 Manifold Conversion Kit from BMW World, and then swap this over with the S52 oil filter housing so I can get the power steering pump on there, and then fix all the vacuum leaks on here as well, and then get back to the power steering. So I won't be showing this and the oil filter housing stuff because that's just too much information and it's not enough time, obviously, because the video is going to be like 2 hours long. So I'll go through this and this really quick, and then we'll get back to the power steering. So, yeah, looks like we got a leak. Jeez. As you can see, this thing is covered in oil all around. Same thing with the block, and it's all the way on the oil pan. And this is where the major oil, I guess, was puddling up. Oh. That's nice. This is like Lay's chips. Crunchy. Crunchy. I like. So, I'm going to clean this up and then also take off this Vanos line. Oh. That shouldn't be doing that. It's supposed to be straight. Looks like we're replacing a Vanos line, boys and girls. Yeah. Yeah. So this is definitely another issue. So I'll probably install the oil filter housing and then replace this line afterwards because obviously it's nighttime. Yes, there's a turd. It is nighttime here in Florida. So I'm pretty sure I can't get that part, so I'll have to wait till tomorrow to finish that up. But I will finish the oil filter housing with the new power steering on and everything, so you guys can see the final result of the power steering pump and the power steering lines, all the and fittings. Yes. Alright. So, oil filter housing installed. This thing looks out of place in here because it's the only cleanest thing in the engine bay. Everything else is dirty as hell. Like this one. Thing looks black. It's supposed to be silver. So the Vanos line is removed. I do not have a new one, so that has to be installed. And it plugs in right here. And then we have an oil pressure sensor here. And then what else? Obviously the alternator. The alternator is just dangling there. I do have the battery disconnected, so don't talk shit. I have the power steering pump on. If you have a 325 or if you have a what is it? A car with a S52 or an M3, whatever, same thing. This is not necessary because it comes with this pump already. Obviously, if you have a 328 or a 323 with an M52 that has a plastic oil filter housing cap,
you're gonna have to do this in order to fit the AN lines if you're buying the BMW kit. I did it obviously because there's leaks in there already, so I had to fix that, which I did take care of, and then also switch to the metal oil filter housing cap, just to call it an S52 now. Just kidding. No, not really.
So the first thing is obviously this banjo bolt and the fitting that goes into the threaded hole right there. The only thing you have to do is put some washers in between, or not washers, the gaskets or copper washers, whatever you want to call it. Same thing, but to prevent leaks, obviously you need these. So you put that on, and then you put the line on. Okay, so the banjo is installed with the bolt and the fitting as well, and then also the line is routed right here, and it goes all the way underneath and then goes back up. Comes around here. Obviously you have to get it away from all the rotating pieces like the belt and the AC compressor, so, and obviously get it away from the headers. So you have it here for anybody and everybody, or I guess whoever. So if you have a turbo, obviously this is not gonna work. You can't put the power steering kit here. So if you do have a turbo, I would suggest probably rerouting it to this shock tower, or maybe adding additional lines and then putting the tank right here, because most cars don't really have a secondary air pump. Unless you do, then you're just a loser. Just kidding. So now we're gonna take the trombone, whatever it's called. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these two fittings and then connect this U-shaped side and then install it on the rack. Alright, so this is what it looks like underneath. You have the line right here. Obviously it needs to be put away. Same thing with this. You have this line here. I have to find a way to secure both lines, but you have, get out of the way, you have the fitting, you have this fitting plus the line going, oh god, I can't even see it. Let me see. So the fitting is right behind the sway bar, and it just does a complete 180. Yeah, 180. And then turns back this way, so two lines going direction towards the compressor. And then from there just going up into the strut tower area. Okay, so I have it hooked up. Big line on the bottom, smaller line on this side, and I think the final position would be somewhere around here. So the hood closes and there's enough space underneath. You can't really see. Let me see. So both lines going underneath, and this sitting like so. The power steering is complete. Obviously the tank is not in its final position, but I don't want to put in the final position just yet until I figure out what I'm doing with the rest of the engine bay and such. So I'll leave it there so I don't put holes in my strut tower just yet. So if you're not planning on doing anything, you can definitely mount it. Oh god. Okay, as I was saying, if you're not planning on doing anything with the engine bay, you can definitely mount it in its final position and rock with that. I am going to be obviously replacing my PCV system because it did fail
and also redoing the M50 manifold conversion. So I will probably do a video on this thing because I will be deleting this and going with the catch can setup. The catch can setup will show up on Friday, so I will probably start on that this coming weekend. And obviously I have the BMW World M50 manifold conversion that I'm also going to be installing. So all that together, I'll probably have a whole entire video on that as well, so you guys can see what kind of catch can setup I'm using. And then obviously if somebody hasn't done an M50 manifold conversion on their car, it could also be a tutorial-ish type thing. I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but I will highlight certain things. Okay, so yeah. Alright, so I guess this completes today's video. I do have a lot of things that are planned for the E36 and also the E90, but I won't be sharing this stuff just yet because there's some things that I want to keep a secret. So if you guys do enjoy what I've done so far with the E36 and the E90, make sure to follow, subscribe, comment, do all those things, and also follow on Instagram at Swap Depot, or yeah, swap_depot. Yes. Okay, bye.